Assalamu alaikum, Professor Ramadan. Welcome to Sri Lanka. I understand it's your first visit here, but you are following the footsteps of your father who came 50 years ago. Professor Ramadan, much has been written and you have talked a lot about the concept of reformation or transformation in Islam. Can you please explain this for people who might misinterpret what this means, what you're actually talking about, and how this is connected to the traditions of the Prophet, peace be upon him?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you first for your invitation. That's my first visit, inshallah, not the last one. But to come to your questions, because there are many questions behind this question, there is something which is important for me, which is the starting point of our discussion. I don't speak about reforming Islam or reformation of Islam. I don't think that Islam needs any reformation or reform. What I'm talking about is to reform the Muslim mind. So why do we have to make a difference here? Because the texts are the text. The Quran is the Quran, and the prophetic traditions are the prophetic traditions. So the texts are not going to change. What is changing is, or should change in our approach, is three things. We have to take into account time. So eternal texts dealing with temporal or evolutionary situations. So time is changing. So when we say Islamu salihun li kulli zamanin wa makanin, it means that Islam, it's okay, and it's we can rely on Islam in every situation, in time and in the geographical context. It means that time is moving, and we have to make up our mind. We have to come to a better understanding of the scriptural sources. So time. The second thing is that, yes, it started in Mecca and then in Medina, but then it spread all around the world. So we have different cultures, we have different mindset, we have different languages. So you have to take this into account. You cannot just take the text and the way principles were translated into reality in an Arab country and then try to do it everywhere the same way. So you have to think about it, think about eternal principles into cultural context, which was done by the Prophet himself, ﷺ, when he was dealing with his own culture and trying to understand how do you translate this into reality, what we call in usul al-fiqh and fiqh tanzil ala al-waqi, which is the translation of the principle into a specific context. And with time and space, what should change is our mind, our understanding. So because we are not the same. You, today, you have much more knowledge, even if you are not so knowledgeable in any scientific field than the best scientific in the field 3 centuries ago. So what does it mean? You have to deal with this knowledge. And if Islam is about knowledge, if Islam is the true understanding of Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, that you have to read in the name of your Lord that who has created, this reading means you have to take into account time, space, and intellectual evolution or scientific evolution. So what I'm saying is we need something which is rooted in our tradition, which is to reform our understanding, reform our reading, taking into account the eternity of the sources, the moving reality through time, and the diversity of reality through cultures. This is what we have to do, and this is not new. I'm not saying something which is new. This is something which is as old as Islam. And this is exactly what the Prophet, peace be upon him, said when he said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْعَثُ لِهَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ عَلَى رَأْسِ كُلِّ مِئَةٍ سَنَةٍ مَنْ يُجَدِّدُ لَهَا دِينَهَا. That Allah is going, after the Prophet there is no Prophet, he is the last and the final one. But after this, every century, God is going to send to this community one or a group of people that is helping this community to renew for itself its religion. And to renew the religion doesn't mean these are new texts. It's renewing our understanding, our spiritual input in the whole process.
Young people have a crisis today of faith due to globalization, due to social media, things like that, how is it that we can give them this confidence, building on what you have said about reforming the Muslim mind? How is it that we can give them this confidence to really start this journey of reforming the Muslim mind?
First, I wouldn't differentiate, because very often today we differentiate between the young people and the old people and the not so young people, and we don't know who is young and who is no longer young. I think that there is a problem with Muslims today, young and not so young people. They have a problem, and we all have a problem. And our problem starts with the very deep understanding of the message itself. So it's the way we look at Islam. Islam is not a box, and Islam is not a set of halal and haram principles. Islam is a path. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ فَاتَّبِعْهَا. So we put you on a way, a path toward the source, so follow it. And the Arabic word فَاتَّبِعْهَا, تَبَعَ means follow. So you have to follow something. It's not to respect principles only, it's to follow a path. And this is where, to do this, what we need is to make it clear to our brothers and sisters in Islam that first there is this first acknowledgement that there is one God. Tawheed is the axis of everything. La ilaha illallah. And this is why it's very important sometimes to listen to some of our Salafi brothers who are saying, you guys, you are so involved in social activities that you forget the first principle, which is all this should be done for the sake of God. Which is good. It's always important to understand our diversity, as many people with different sensitivities are helping the others to look at Islam from another viewpoint. So sometimes you come with a very deep intellectual understanding of Islam, and some people could come to you and say, listen to your heart. Istafti qalbak. Your heart there is light in your heart, and you are too much obsessed with your mind. And others are saying, you are too much obsessed with society. You are not caring about your own self. Don't save the others and lose yourself. That's very important. So this diversity is important. So what I'm saying here is that to help our brothers and sisters to understand that the Tawheed is the first principle, and we have the scriptural sources, and out of this we have diversity of interpretation that are accepted. And this is something which is very important. They should understand that when they listen to somebody, it's not the final Islamic word. This could be one interpretation, and you have other interpretations that are as knowledgeable and valid as his and others. So I would say that this sense that there is an axis, and then there are principles, and there a diversity, it's important. And then to do two things, which is important in the crisis of confidence that we have today. We have many crises: crisis of confidence, crisis of knowledge, crisis of authority. We don't know who is speaking for Muslims today. It's as if anyone can now speak. So there is a crisis of authority, and there is a crisis of vision. So what do we want exactly? What are we trying to achieve? It's not only to be a Muslim and that's it. You have a mission on earth. If the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sent as a rahma lil alamin, wa ma arsalnaka illa rahmatan lil alamin, you are a mercy for the world. It's for us to follow in the footsteps. It's also to be a rahma. So are you a rahma in Sri Lanka? Start by asking the question. Are you a problem or a rahma? Because you can't just after centuries tell the people, you know what, we are a rahma, but you only see us as a problem. So there is a problem here. If the people don't see you as an added value, you also have to question yourself. What are we doing here to be perceived as a problem everywhere when we are in a society? So it's not to blame the others, it's to question ourselves. So I would say here that what is important with this is when we come with this understanding, we also need to listen to the needs of the people. And this is where young or not so young, they have needs, they have questions. So we don't come with Islam by saying, you know what, this is Islam. No, Islam is not this. Look, the Quran itself was revealed as an answer to questions. The Quran, 23 years, came, all the verses, when the Muslims were facing problems, the Quran was responding. So the Quran comes as a response, and when you deal with human being, you don't even listen to their question, you answer, and you impose your answer without having listened to the question. This is not education, this is something which could be perceived as propaganda. the difference between education and propaganda. Propaganda is, I know what I want you to understand, so I'm going to say it. Education is, I come to you where you are. So I listen to your questions and I give you answer. Exactly what the Quran was all about. So it's a revelation beyond time, responding to the questions of the time. And you can't read the Quran if you don't understand the circumstances and what happened during the revelation, what we call in the ulum al-Quran as Bab al-Nuzul, the reasons for the revelation. So this is the basic thing. So I would say that it's very important to come with this principles, with the principle also of educating people, but not from where we are, but from where they ask. So that's a complete different attitude as teachers. And you know, there is the title of a book that I'm always referring to, which is, in fact, is a translation of what Ali karramallahu wajhahu say, "Khatibun nas ala qadri uqulihim." So talk to the people at the level of their understanding. So how am I going to know what is the level of your understanding if I don't listen to you? And this is why you have the title of a very good title. The book is not so good, but the title is good, is "Talk to me, I have something to tell you." But talk to me first. Exactly what happened with Moses. Musa alayhi salam, elqu, come with your arguments. I'm going to respond. Elqu, first you have to show me your arguments and I will respond. This is a way of educating which is very important. If we don't do this, we think that by teaching we solve the problem. But we solve our problem, not the problem of the students, not the problem of the people who are saying, okay, you know what? I'm just tired of this business of halal haram. I feel guilty all the time. You are teaching me to feel guilty. You're not teaching me to feel at peace. So there is something wrong in your education. You are teaching me to isolate myself from this society. It's my society, it's my home, and you make me feel as if I am a stranger in this society. I'm a foreigner. That's not going to work like this. If after 4, 5, 6 generations of Sri Lankan Muslims, they end up feeling not really at home in Sri Lanka, don't blame Sri Lanka. Blame the teachings of the Muslims. That's the reality of it.
And what you've talked about and you've mentioned, Sri Lanka is a multi-ethnic country, multi-religious country. You have four religions here. What is needed from Sri Lankan Muslims? Well, how can they start this process of moving towards a pluralistic society where they celebrate coexistence and multicultural identities?
That's a simple way to put a very complex question, because it's very difficult. So I would say here that what is important for the starting point, I would say, is for the teachers and for the scholars to make it clear for all Sri Lankan Muslims, you are at home. This is home. So when you look at the people, you can say, as Moses said, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, as Isa alayhi salam said, Moses alayhi salam, Abraham alayhi salam, Ya sha'bi, ya qawmi, you are my people. Do you feel it? You have to feel it. You have to feel that this is home. Whatever are the crisis, whatever is the situation and difficult it could be, you are at home. And this is what I have been saying to Western Muslims. After 1-2 generations, this is home. So no one can come and tell me, what about integrating? Yes, I don't care. I'm at home. And wherever you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, you are at home. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, arrived in Medina and he built the first mosque, the first signal is, here we are, this is home. And when we say this is home, we are not coming to colonize, we are coming to be an added value. So how are we going to teach the added value of the Muslim presence wherever we are? Starts by saying we are at home, and then you educate the people with this feeling that you are at home. So the Islamic education should not be only about what are the Islamic principles. Of course we have to do this. Tawheed, Arkan al-Iman, Arkan al-Islam, practicing Muslims and with this the ethical dimension, Makarim al-Akhlaq and all this, yes. But not only this, an Islamic education is know the language of your country, know the history of your country, know the collective psychology of the country, know the evolution, know your country. Because if you want to be a witness here, you should know the people. And know means respect. It doesn't mean you know only, you should know. When the Quran is saying, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا, we made you nations and tried for you to know each other, in order for you to know each other. This mutual knowledge is out of respect, that this is the will of God, this diversity. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. If God had will, He would have made you one community. So He didn't want that. He doesn't want that. He wants this diversity. So we are at home. We are assertive with our principles. We know our principles. We have to educate the people. But assertiveness, merging or marrying openness. Openness. Openness means interacting with people, discussing, dialoguing, listening to what the people are saying. And then also with this, always ask yourself, whatever you are a Sri Lankan citizen in this country, what is your added value? The visibility of Muslims should not be only a formal visibility of our clothes or our headscarves. That's part of us, but this is not the point. The ethical visibility, the ethical distinctiveness, that when the people look at you, they see principles, they see ethics behind your behavior. So you make your face visible. Instead of making only our clothes visible, make your face visible. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. So this is something that, and it has to be done in multiple ways. It's not only, I'm going to surprise you, but I'm saying to Muslims, stop talking too much about Islam. Be good Muslims. Stop talking. Stop being obsessed with Islam everywhere. Just show it out of your behavior, your solidarity work, your creativity. Write novels. Be creative. Do something that is, when you look at this, say, where does it come from? And let the people look for the answer.
So thank you very much, Professor Ramadan, for your time with us today.